డైన్ ఇన్ బార్ పిచ్ పై టాస్ గెలిచిన క్రికెటర్. పూర్తి వివరాలకు చదవండి రేపటి సాక్షి దినపత్రిక.
Welcome to Sakshi TV special immigration talk show with lawyer Dr. Srinivas Kaveti. Please note that Sakshi TV now has 5 immigrations every week. On Mondays with Somi Reddy, on Tuesdays with lawyer Kaveti Garu, on Wednesdays with Prashanti Reddy in English, on Thursdays with Chand Parvatneni, and on Fridays with Balu Nindra. Please tune in to ask your questions. If you are an immigration attorney and would like to join our special shows, please email us at usa@sakshi.com or call us at 866-725-7441. Before we get into the show, please note that the information provided on the show is not legal advice and for general information purposes only. Sakshi TV or its agents will not be responsible for the use of information. If you need any specific legal advice, please contact the attorney or the lawyer directly. Dr. Srinivas Kaveti needs no introduction, but if you need consultation, you can definitely log on to their firm, which is nothing but www.srinivaskavetilawfirm.com. So without any further delay, let us welcome Kaveti Garu onto our show. Kaveti Garu, welcome back, Andy. I hope you're doing well.
Yes, Shivani, thanks for having me.
Yes. So Kaveti Garu, I hope you're doing well. And last time we did cover a lot about the R1 visa. So what exactly are we going to be talking about today, Kaveti Garu?
Because last time we spoke about R1 visa frauds and victimizing of priests and everything. I think this time we could talk about moral turpitude offenses.
Yes.
What is a moral turpitude? How would that affect the immigration? And what are the punishments? It's
Yes.
Moral turpitude offenses are classified in U.S. penal law. Now, of course, into the penal laws in most of the countries they have offenses, legal offenses, moral turpitude offenses. So I think that's the topic I think we're going to talk about today.
So, Kaveti Garu, let's dive into this topic and what exactly is this moral turpitude and what kind of crimes does moral turpitude include, especially under the US government?
Okay, first we need to understand what is a moral turpitude offense. Moral turpitude offenses, America, what they classified, anything to do with your they are fraud, dishonesty, anything to do with your mind. You're doing any fraudulent activities or with dishonesty, and if you're shoplifting, or for example, if you're engaged in any prostitution or child pornography or anything to do with drink and driving, these are all classified under the moral turpitude offenses. Embezzlement of funds, you're misappropriating the funds of the employer or somebody else. These all comes under moral turpitude offenses.
Yes. Mr. Kaveti, can you get into some of the examples of the moral turpitude crimes so that the viewers that they're watching the show, they get aware of something that might be happening around them, but they're not aware of?
Okay. I'll touch base upon most of the students, how they get in trouble in America. And if somebody is on an H-1B or, somebody who's a green card holder or a citizen. Let us talk about moral turpitude offenses, what students are committing in America. If you see, these days, because of the social media, we come across and see that the students are shoplifting. They go to grocery stores and they go to clothes stores and they steal clothes, especially when you see most of the times our law firm is getting calls from the girls, those who have stolen clothes, women clothes. And some boys and girls, students, they are going to grocery stores, like, we call them kirana stores. They go and steal food material. How they do it, either they change the stickers. If it is an expensive clothes or if it is an expensive food, they take out some inexpensive sticker and put it and they go back and they try to pay. These are shoplifting offenses. These are moral turpitude offenses. And second thing, our firm, we come across a lot of calls that people are drinking and driving, and they get caught. They think they're in their own home country. But when you get caught in this country, drink and driving is an offense in this country. They get arrested. These are moral turpitude offenses. And the third thing is, the companies in this country, what they do, and they fabricate the resume. And sometimes the companies are saying, you don't have a green card, you're saying you have a green card. You're making a fake green card, and you're on a student visa. They're also saying you're on H-1B. They're circulating H-1B approval, and sometimes even citizenship. So these are all fraudulent documents where the employer and employee does it. And if they get caught by any agency, these are all felonies. You could go to jail. So these are moral turpitude offenses. And
Yes.
sometimes it's interesting. We also get calls from some green card holders or even students. They are chatting online in some there are chat groups. They are chatting with small girls, those who are below 18, and the other side person is they will say, "Who are you? What's your name?" They say, "We are a girl," and they will ask, "How old are you?" They're below 18. You continue to chat with them, and you want to meet them. So actually, what's happening is this is the policemen that are chatting with you. And when you go to meet those girls, supposedly you're going to meet a girl, but anything soliciting of any gestures with a minor girl in this country amounts to statutory offenses. What does it mean? No defenses. You will be arrested, you will be sent to jail. No defenses are called statutory offenses. And our firm has got calls and we have handled such clients. These are students. These are called moral turpitude offenses. And the biggest thing is these days, you have seen it in TV in Texas and other cities. There's one doctor, he was taking pictures of his patients and he was taking the pictures of children. And that is also moral turpitude offense. And these days, I mean, recently, last 2 weeks ago, there were 15 people have been arrested in Texas, and they were engaged in prostitution ring. And prostitution is also a moral turpitude offense. And in some states, prostitution is an offense. Some states, they're not. I mean, it depends upon state to state. These are all moral turpitude offenses. These are the examples.
Yes. And also, Kaviti Garu, since past few years, the cases have been increasing. And do you think that is kind of impacting on the visas? That, some people might be innocent and they want to come and study or work in the US. Do you think that is kind of affecting the visa processes happening right now?
Yes, 100% yes. See, once anybody gets arrested in moral turpitude offenses, the first and foremost thing is you're disqualified to get any immigrant or non-immigrant visa. That means even your student visa or an H-1B visa, even green card could be revoked. What does it mean? Revocation means cancellation. Visa gets revoked, cancellation. That why American Constitution, American penal law says we don't want people who are accused or who are convicted of moral turpitude offenses. We want some good Samaritans in the country. We don't want anybody who's committed morally wrong offenses in the country. So they will not only terminate your F1, they will not only revoke your H-1B, or there are cases, even green card holders, the green card has been canceled and they're sent back after the conviction. I mean, we had clients in the past that if you're a green card holder, you're caught under the prostitution offense, they've even revoked a green card. They've been sent back to their own home country. We had clients from India and Bangladesh, our firm. So, these things have to be taken very seriously. Whether before you come or even after you come into US, and you have to be careful until you become US citizen. But once you have a conviction, unfortunately, you'll be disqualified from even getting some jobs in the city or in the federal government or in the state government. You'll be disqualified to get some government jobs. And there are some jobs which are very sensitive. If you have a criminal record, they won't give it to you. For example, if you're applying for a job as a cashier in a restaurant, or if you're applying for a job in any companies where you'll be, for example, you're a social worker, you will be handling cases pertaining to women or children. They won't give it to you. Or even if you want to get a license as an attorney, as a doctor, or as an engineer, or as a CPA, because you've been convicted with a moral turpitude offenses, or you've been even arrested, you will not get a license to practice. So that means it will also affect your occupation, vocation, and your profession and job and employment as well. You might not even get a job in federal government and in military. And many agencies, they will not give it to you. So it's a very serious thing one has to understand. And then most of the times the clients, they say, oh, I'm not aware of the law of America. But ignorance of law and mistake of fact or mistake of law sometimes, oh, I don't know, I'm mistaken, is not a defense. So there is no defense. And these are, for example, you're having some relationship with a minor girl, and it could be a consensual sex. But if they come to know because she's a minor, it is a statutory offense that constitute to rape. So one has to be very, very careful when you're dealing things like that. And even using somebody else's credit card. Many times students, they borrow their friend's credit card. Sometimes they steal their friend's credit card in the roommates and they use it. And if they get caught, and our firm has a lot of clients like that, and these are moral turpitude offenses because embezzlement, misappropriation, or committing fraud, dishonesty, these are all moral turpitude offenses. The visa gets cancelled immediately by the consulate, and you will not be able to get H-1B. And once you get arrested, you might not get a job. If you go for a fingerprint and criminal background check, you might not be even qualified or eligible for migration to even Australia, England, or Canada, even America. You might not even get a green card. So one has to be very, very careful when they're in US. So they have to be mindful of these offenses.
So, Kaveti Garu, let's talk about some moral turpitude offenses that especially the H-1B applicants or the H-1B people with H-1B should actually know about. First, let's talk about the H-1B before we get into the F-1 visas.
Right. See, if somebody, get arrested or they've been convicted of moral turpitude offenses, most of the times the employers are terminating their employment. And two, once their job is terminated, obviously, if you get arrested, the immigration gets to know. Because one must understand, after September incident, there were 26 to 28 agencies, they share the information. This information will go to the immigration, it will go to the Department of State, it will go to, so many agencies. So once, you get terminated and, you're revoked, you cannot get H-1B back again. You'll have to go back to your country. So that's a pretty serious repercussion on H-1B. And in terms of conviction after trial, or sometimes even before the conviction also, before a trial also, the prosecution or the defense makes a deal, and you could be convicted for a fine or for community service, or there are so many other programs. If you're confessed or if you're admitted to the guilt, then that's also not a problem. And next time your H-1B might not be renewed. And when you go to India or your home country, the consulate will not stamp your visa. Sometimes if you convince the consulate, when you come back to US, there is a secondary inspection. The airport authorities, there is a ICE immigration and custom enforcement guys, They might even send you back because you've been arrested. So it's a pretty serious thing for H-1B or even for students.
Yeah. And also, let's get into the F1 visa offenses, Mr. Kaveti Garu. What personally have you seen? You yourself are an international lawyer, so I'm sure you've seen a couple of cases here and there where people knowingly or unknowingly have committed one of these offenses. So, can you give a brief details about these kind of offenses?
In terms of students, as I've been telling you, somebody is drinking and driving, or somebody even while they were drinking, they hit somebody and they go away, rush away from the scene of accident. And sometimes students getting in trouble with prostitution. Students are even caught while, taking drugs. Even that is also constitute to moral turpitude offense. And sometimes students get arrested by plagiarism in the university, and the school terminates them that you copied somebody else's assignment. Even that, these are all moral turpitude offenses. That means you're not morally strong and your dishonesty. In those scenarios as well, the student visa gets affected, and that means their visa gets revoked. And sometimes people are not even getting their OPTs when they apply for a work authorization because they have to go for fingerprint. When they go for fingerprint, it comes up. So they are not even getting work authorization. And again, as I said, when they go out of the country for a holiday, and when they're coming back from their home country at the airport, it comes up in the system. So they might even deport you. There are a lot of times the students have been deported from the airport. So what good is that? I mean, you're coming into America, getting yourself educated and get a proper job and make your life, not get in trouble with these things. And your career gets affected, your immigration gets affected. Unfortunately, the US shares information with 5 other countries. They have an agreement. And definitely the Canada and US, they share the information. And they have an agreement to share the information with the UK, Canada, New Zealand, Australia even. So if you're trying to migrate to those countries, this might come up. And many times when you leave this country as a student, when you're migrating to some other country, if you lived in America for more than 1 to 2 years, the country which you're immigrating, even to Europe, they might ask, can you give us a police clearance certificate? So it will not come. Your criminal background check will say that you've been arrested. This is FBI report. So things like that would happen. So, this would jeopardize immigration opportunities for students. This would also jeopardize their career opportunities in terms of job, employment. And tomorrow, if you go and get married to a US citizen, also, this will show up and you might not get a green card even through employment or even through getting marriage. So it's pretty serious, getting convicted or even getting arrested also. And recently we had a client of a firm. The guy, wife filed a complaint in India in terms of, she was about to get married and they went for a photo shoot and she accused him that he committed a rape on her would-be wife. And the marriage broke down and she filed a complaint with the police and she reported to the immigration. When his H1 was getting renewed, the immigration questioned him. I said, there is a case as against you under the moral turpitude offense. So when our firm did research, we found out that the immigration could also take that into consideration while renewing the H1B. So things are going beyond just filing a complaint with the Indian police authorities. So that could even affect the decision making of the immigration officer while giving you an H1B or any other visa.
Yes. Let's go and talk about the consequences that people with green cards have. Mr. Kaveti, is it different from people who have H1Bs and F1s?
Right. See, one must understand, Giovanni, because these green card holder guys, what is the meaning actually of a green card? If you see the card, it will say permanent resident alien. What is the meaning of alien? means Pardesi. You're a foreigner, right? Permanent resident card. What does that mean? You have a right to live in America permanently. Are you a US citizen? The answer is no. Do you have a right to vote? The answer is no. Do you have a right to work for federal government? The answer is no. You're only a resident of this country. You can only reside in this country unconditionally, unlimited. And that means you have a domicile. This is a word used in the law, that you have a domicile in India, America to live. But you're not a citizen of this country. For example, if you get in trouble with moral turpitude offenses, or even if you get convicted with moral turpitude offenses, they could revoke your green card. That means they could terminate your green card and send you back into your country. And we had, as I told you, we had clients, and one of our client in the past, a Bangladeshi guy, got arrested for prostitution in New York on a New Year day. His green card was canceled and he was sent back to Bangladesh. So, things like that, it always happens. And the other thing is nowadays, these students and H-1B guys, they're engaged in money laundering offenses. They're doing 2, 3 jobs here, and they're asking the employers to give money in India. These are also money laundering offenses are also, moral turpitude offenses. If they get caught by evading the taxation of this country, and you're laundering the money from this country to India, that is also a very serious offense. It's a felony, and those are also money laundering offenses. So they could be in trouble too. Their visas could be cancelled, their green card could be cancelled, they could be sent back to your home country.
Yes. And also, Mr. Kaveti, I'm sure not all of these allegations can be true for some people, and maybe some of them are allegedly, or they were, or someone were actually framed. So these are some things that can happen. I'm not saying it always happens, but how do you think these people can fight against and get their justice in the US, being a person with H-1B or an F-1B visa?
See, the first and foremost thing, this is my opinion, they should not go online and read everything. I mean, of course, getting information is okay, but they should contact local criminal defense attorneys, and they should retain them. And I would suggest that if any criminal defense attorneys who are also competent in immigration law, they would protect their status. And if the criminal defense attorney is not competent in immigration law, they should have an immigration attorney working in parallel with the criminal defense attorney as a partner. And these immigration attorneys could advise the criminal defense attorney as what deals they can make with the prosecution. See, there's a concept called plea deal in America, Shivani. That is not there in our country, in India. What is the meaning of plea deal? That the defense counsel, the defense attorney, can talk to the prosecutor and say, hey, this is the first time my client got in trouble and he's not aware of so many circumstances. So can you please excuse, because he has never done any offense in the past. He's been a good Samaritan. He's paying the taxes. He never got in trouble. If this goes into a conviction, his visa could be jeopardized, his work would be jeopardized. So he makes a deal. The defense counsel, the criminal defense lawyer, counsel means advocate, the criminal defendant advocate, will make a deal with the prosecution, convinces them, and gets the case dismissed most of the time because it's a first offender. So, I mean, our firm has been working with other lawyers all over the country. We tell the defense lawyers, saying that, can you make a deal and get the case dismissed so that he will not do it again? And can you please have a conditional discharge that until 1 year he will not be in trouble, so that it will not jeopardize his immigration situation. So your viewers, this is my view. For your viewers, my suggestion is not an advice, my suggestion